Thank you so much for having me at the event today. Could you, for people that don't know you, haven't seen you around, explain your role at Zendesk and a little bit about the company itself?
Sure. My name is Vishnu Parimi. I lead product for all employee service within Zendesk. Now, Zendesk, as you know, is a company that is focused on service, and we have two business lines, which is one is customer support, and then there is a new growth vertical, which we call as employee support. And we got into this more seriously over the last couple of years because customers pushed us to get into this more organically. And we said, we should start building something very specific to them because customers are asking us to do so.
Yeah. And like you said, the kind of pressure has been increasing over the last few years. I feel like everyone's expectations and everything is rising. So could you tell us a little bit about kind of how those expectations have changed, especially when it comes to, digital tools, all of those things?
Yeah, there's a lot of change in terms of expectations, especially if you see the world before Gen AI and after Gen AI, right? Post Gen AI, now the expectation is, hey, I have a business process within my company. I would probably be happy prior to Gen AI if I shaved off 30 seconds of my process. And I'm like, great, you've done a great job, and over thousands of processes, a lot of saving. And then the questions that we are being asked right now is, hey, can you completely automate that process so that it's not like shaving 30 seconds, but it's shaving 3 minutes or probably 5 minutes in that. Now, if you're getting asked that question because you're able to see that externally in the consumer market with what OpenAI has done, we could potentially replicate some of this in the B2B market as well to automate business process. And those are the kind of challenges that we are prepared to solve with the whole ecosystem that we are investing across Zendesk.
How do you see the kind of relationship changing between employee expectations and customer expectations kind of moving forward?
I think more and more they are converging. If you see earlier, customer support was always like, hey, it is business driving, right? If the customer is unhappy, then they can churn, and as a result, you can take a hit on your business. So that's why it's a very important thing to actually have the best customer support possible. Amazon has shown it, the better the customer support, the better the company is. Now you look at it internally, especially during COVID times, right? If you're not keeping your employees happy, then they leave, and as a result, there'll be a lot of churn. And in this fast-moving world, you don't want to lose talent, especially in these days, right? And to keep employees happy, you have to invest in support tools, and it cannot be the old way that we have been doing things. And people are even working remote these days. Now, when employees are working remote, they're not meeting their colleagues on a day-to-day basis. That means it's already something that they're grappling with. And when it comes to the company not supporting them well, it just doubles down on them being and continuing in a particular company. So that's why I see that in the last 4 or 5 years or 6 years, that has been equally important for a company to be successful as you keep your customers happy.
Yeah. And do you have kind of any maybe tips or tricks for that in terms of working with people in different countries and working with people across different tools and different systems? There's so many kind of things that have to come together. So what does Zendesk do there to make that all kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, if you see from different countries, right, employees, they have different cultures. Now you have to have employees from different cultures to be able to work well with each other, collaborate well with each other for the company of even Zendesk or even larger size to be more successful. Now, how do you bring in those tools? You cannot go everywhere and say or personally provide that kind of a support, right? But then they expect personalization. And that's where a lot of these automations come in. But then you're not building blanket automations, right? For example, if an employee is asking about, let's say, I have to go on a paternity leave or a maternity leave. Now, every country has its own policy. Now, if you're deploying an automated tool like an AI agent to be able to answer their questions, then that agent should be intelligent. It has to be sensitive to the culture. That means it has to understand the policy of a particular country.
Never thought about
to be able
that.
To be able to address your question properly, right? And to do that, then you're really looking at how do we customize those agents? How do we make sure that they understand those policies well, they operate in their own guardrails. And you have to build these into the product to be able to serve employees in a way that they feel that they are heard.
Yeah. And could you talk to me a little about what kind of AI and automation has looked like maybe in the past year and where you kind of see it going with everything that we've just spoken about in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I see automation going more from like, hey, I'm getting these incremental gains to, completely automating some of the processes. And it can start small. It can start like, hey, what are the low-hanging fruits that are, highly repetitive? Like the ones that I talked about, right? Yeah. Like, hey, how can I read a policy to actually help employees address their questions right out of the bat?
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of opportunity to automate there. And it's not just telling them, hey, you go, this policy says you have to do these 3 steps. Why not do those 3 steps and then completely solve their request? And that's where we are going more and more as we go towards more of autonomous support. Now, we have to be careful in this way in world. You can actually do that, but then most of the pain happens in those edge cases, right? Like unseen cases or situations that are very complex. Yeah. So when you're building these automations, you can do this, but also you should, as an automation engine, you should know when to escalate it back to the human and when to show that empathy for a particular case that is not common, and you need to be heard to be able to be completely addressed properly.
Yeah. And how are you kind of finding balancing with it being such a personal topic? I know we talked about kind of churn and looking after employees. Where do you kind of balance between looking at the tech side of things and looking at the AI and then looking after the people? How do you kind of find that balance there?
Yeah, I think it's about like if you're particularly talking about agents, right? Like today, like human agents. Today, there's this notion that, hey, if I deploy tools, like I'll deploy tools and how many human agents can I reduce as a result of deploying those tools? But I think you should think about it a bit holistically about it, right? It's not just support that is disrupted by AI. The entire company is able to go much faster because of AI. So what do I mean by that? Like, hey, as a company, I'm able to build more products and services because of AI. But then these products and services should be maintained by the same organization, but then they're 10x more than they were before. Then the question to your team is, hey, how do I use AI to increase the support capacity of my human workforce so that they don't get burned down? And as a result, that's not a good experience. And that's where you have to show empathy to the human agents, where you're helping or you're using AI to improve or increase their ability to do more by at least 30 or 50%.
Yeah. And how does kind of data and context play a part in all this? I know there's obviously so much going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Where does that kind of play a part?
Yeah, data and context, some of it is like personalizing things, right? Like I said, like context plays a lot of role in giving personalized support, whether it can be customer support or employee support. Yeah. The other area I think data will play a huge role when you imagine that a lot of these interactions will be completely automated is generally around governance. Yeah. In this newer world, if you had like 10 interactions before, you'll probably have 100 interactions right now. Yeah. And those interactions, like you have done before, need to be monitored, but you have to monitor in 10x scale. How do you do that? Yeah. How do you make sure quality and accuracy are consistent across all these interactions? Now, this data is collected, it's there in the system, but somehow you have to make sense out of this data and make sure that we are doing the right things. And that's when you're completing this loop, you're really providing a really happy and autonomous service.
Perfect. And kind of maybe my final question would be looking into the future. What are you excited about? What do you kind of expect to happen and to change in the next? I know it's almost impossible to say with so much changing so quickly, but yeah, what are you excited about that might be coming up?
I'm really excited about generally the opportunity that's lying ahead. Like what can we do more with the tools that we have today, and how can we change the behavior of service completely? Today, the notion is, hey, if it is an automated service, I don't want to speak to an AI agent because they don't understand my issue. And that's how it was probably like 2-3 years ago. Yeah. Like I always call when my flight booking gets screwed up. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, customer service, despite the bot pinging me. But tomorrow, I think and I believe there will be a world where you cannot differentiate whether you're speaking with an AI agent or a human agent, and probably you'll get more service, better service, because previously, if there was, you can only have so many amount of human agents, and you're probably waiting on the line. You're 50th on the line. You're waiting 48 hours to get your service. But I'm seeing a future where, when things go wrong, when you have hundreds of escalations, you are still given the best service in seconds and not in hours.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see everything that happens, and I'm excited to see what happens with Zendesk as well. So thank you again so much for your time and for having me at the event today.
Thank you for hosting me for this.